going. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
Are there any fads you remember? Like, have you ever gotten a tattoo? Or.
You know what? How about this? And my mother just saw it the other day when I moved to Boonton. I mean, I used to work out every day. I was in the gym every morning at 5 a.m.
Mhm.
And I moved to Boonton. I left that gym and I said, wow, I want a tattoo. Everybody's got a tattoo. So I got one from the fellow up the street here, nice guy,
Mhm.
Jay. They sold the place. But now it's a tattoo on a fat guy. So, and it doesn't really,
I never thought
doesn't
about
have
that.
the same, I'd say, boy, I'm going to be working out for the rest of my life. And my mother saw it last year. I had came up from out of the bedroom and I had, my shirt was up. She
Sure.
goes, Bobby, what is that?
Like you gotta. Oh, that's funny.
No. So still at 85, she was like, Bobby, what is that?
Do you have any special, how about clothes that you want in that area?
We'd walk along the avenue, Central Avenue, and there was an Army Navy store that was great. And it had this really wonderful blue kind of flannel shirt
Okay.
and these wonderful blue corduroys that kind of went with it, and they matched. And I said, oh, Ma, I said, that looks great. I would love to wear that to school.
Mhm.
She went right in and bought it for me.
Did she?
And I remember wearing that,
Okay.
you know, and
I do remember Army Navy stores.
And I would make a mark. I had little outfits that I put together, and I would make sure I would never wear the same one a couple of days. So in the back of my door in my house, I had like the blue with the corduroy, and I had this other outfit, then I had this other, and I make sure that I kind of.
So how come you
recycle.
didn't go by the theater across the street and put on shows?
Oh, I know that.
You could
That
do
would-
it, you know that.
That would be a dream. If I ever hit the lottery, boy, I would. I
Yeah.
think I would. I think it'd probably be one of the top 5 things I'd like to do.
Yeah, isn't that amazing?
Mhm.
I hope a miracle comes. Why did you settle in Boonton, and what do you love about it?
Well, like I said, I'm from Jersey City, and this is where we got our water. So I just I felt like it was it was some sort of attraction. Well, you know, when I moved to Wharton with my partner Jack, my commute to New York City was very long because I was living in Palisades Park at the time. I had a house.
Mhm.
Sold that, moved to Wharton for 5 years. I loved it, but it was just a little too far. Coming home, because I drove in, and I'd hit Denville and really had a lot of traffic. But just before that was like this Boonton, and I said, "Oh, Boonton," and he said, "I always wanted to live in Boonton." He says, "Because we're renting Uncle Rudy's house on Mechanic Street." And I got to tell you something. Living on Mechanic Street is like kind of living back in Jersey City.
Oh, yeah?
I feel like I'm back in my neighborhood. I have black over here, Spanish over here, Arab
Perfect,
over here.
right.
I feel like I'm back on.
Yeah.
It's a one-way street. You don't have too many of those in town, so
So
it's
you-
great. I love Mechanic Street.
Right. Well, Lloyd and I deeply feel sad that all the small stores are really being killed by Amazon,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
right?
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really, to me, something that's a big change.
I mean, who wants to get in a car and go to the mall anymore? Even the malls killed the stores first, and
Oh,
then
yeah.
Amazon's
Oh, yeah.
killing the
Oh,
malls.
yeah.
So yeah.
So I don't know, how do you
Well-
see the future and foretell where to be in the right place to?
If I knew, I'd
Yeah.
love to have tomorrow's newspaper today, so I could
Right,
know
but
what the winning
that
number is.
seems to
But
me the scary part.
let's just say that people do like to shop local.
Mhm.
You have to make yourself get out and do it. And you know, the sad thing about it is, you know, we have a town that's. I don't really see too many people who live in town, and I know who they are,
Oh.
and I know that they're buying greeting cards. I'm wondering where they're going. I wonder if they're going to Walmart. Not that Walmart's a bad place,
Right,
but
right.
a lot of people. I wonder where everybody is. They really need to make we went to a party last night, which I mentioned to you. It's a Secret Santa, and we decided it has to be a $20 gift. So we bought a $20 gift certificate at the florist next door, Main Street Bloomer.
Mhm.
So you know the object of that thing is, you know, you can steal the
Yeah,
other,
yeah, yeah.
or you know, do you know that gift certificate got stolen 5 times?
Wow.
Because everybody saw the value of that gift certificate.
Mhm.
And I said, wouldn't it be great if all the Secret Santas were you had to buy something on Main Street or
Mhm.
something from in town?
Yeah.
And that would be, instead of just going and buying something
Mm.
wherever. So I think people do see the value of shopping on Main Street, but not enough.
Can you tell me something that you do as an alderman?
Wow, well, I'm sure.
Wait a minute.
Oh my
We
goodness,
don't want to.
that's a whole other show.
We'll have to start eating
I
dinner
don't think,
soon.
I don't think that iPad has enough juice in it. Lloyd, is it juiced up? Are you juiced up? Well, I sit on a couple of different committees. Right now I sit on, I'm not chair of the Finance and Personnel Committee, but I sit on that committee, and we're happy that we introduced one of the lowest budgets in town in over 10 years. So, which it was a minimal tax increase, and but I am chair of the Police and Parking, and we've hired a couple of new cops, as you know.
There we go, with our grandson.
Thank me.
Thank you, sir.
And
and he
he's
loves
a good kid. He's a
it.
wonderful,
Yeah.
wonderful kid. We need more like him.
Thank you.
And we have a couple of new crossing guards.
Mhm.
It's all about personnel. And
Really?
the police department is one of the most expensive, things that you will invest in. But it is an investment.
And very important,
Right?
right?
And parking, I believe, besides actually opening up a new parking, facility,
Yeah.
some of the other things that my committee has done has been, I think more than any has done in years. I mean, we have mobile park by phone now. You'll be able to pay for your parking meter, or wherever, by zone, you'll just be able to hit an app on the phone and pay. And if you're running over, it'll tell you you're out, in 15 minutes, you're done. And you'll be able to send a few more pennies to the meter.
In the best of all possible worlds, in a fantasy world. And
Which
you
is
were-
my world.
Well, we noticed.
That's
But
right.
I mean, the Darras, if we all, community people all chipped in money and the town owned it, where would people park?
That's right.
Where-
The other alderman and I, in my Ward 2, Dina Renfro Michelle, we walked almost our entire ward, and we're going to JCP&L, and we've asked for higher wattage and a lot of the, which they will do as long as we just pay for the power.
Okay.
So, those kind of things are fixable, but where to put a parking deck, I mean, I've always said, where the post office is, that's one of the few that they own, that property. If they ever vacated that would be great for the town to take that over. Something centralized, because I really think that people really don't want to walk. And it's because we're hilly, that's part of the problem. So,
But all the ingredients for an exciting Friday night, with the building, I'm sure people from the town would buy their chairs and get their name on it and, bring some money to it. But, I mean, I could just imagine a long time ago, when they had the, Tuesdays, they gave away plates. And Wednesday, they had a drawing, and all of the rich people in the town would come down, pay the 25 cents, and stand around and wait to see who wins. And then they would hand out their movie tickets to all the poor kids. We were all lined up on Wednesday.
See,
So I mean, ingenious, fun things like that would be
I have
nice
to
if we
interview
could bring
you,
it back.
and then you can tell all those great stories, 'cause I never heard that.
Have a favorite season of the year?
I think it has to be right around now. Although I love Easter too.
Do you
I
really?
always got a new coat or something, got a
Yeah,
new
look pretty.
Easter outfit or something. So Easter's great, and it's not so much about the food, it's more about,
The beauty,
your
the
family
springtime
and,
and-
the
yeah.
springtime, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, my
So
pet
you have a
peeve
pet peeve
is
what
when
I-
I'm in a car with Lloyd and he's complaining about somebody who won't make a left turn.
There we go.
Yeah.
No, really, you don't.
I
That's
don't-
what I live
I've
with
never been
every
there.
time. You're not.
I don't know, I
Nothing
mean,
is a
pet peeve, I think,
Did someone ever try to steal in your store?
No,
or,
I think one little girl took
Oh, well, that's.
something once along, I
Yeah.
think,
But you have to forgive that.
I've never had really any theft in the
Wow.
store that I know
Very
about. I know
nice.
everything in the store.
What historical event that you've lived through, like September 11th, made an impact on you?
Well, I mean, we could start with September 11th. I mean, I could go back to Watergate, which I watched all of that on television. I think I got interested in politics, but I watched that on a black and white TV every
Wow.
day. But I think 9/11, I was working for Newsweek magazine at the time. And I was driving to work like I do every day. I was driving around the West Side Highway, a little late for work. And they had announced on the radio that a plane had hit the building. And just then, I turned the corner on the West Side Highway, and I was able to see the smoke. And I'm like, and at that point, they still didn't know if it was a little Cessna, because I was flying at the time. I was learning how to fly, so I was learning how to fly a Cessna 172. And I said, maybe that's all it was, and it turned out to be more. By the time I got to Newsweek, parked my car in our deck and got to 57th Street, the other plane had hit and everybody was around the TV. And 2 specials, and we gave $1 for each magazine that we sold to the 9/11 relief at Newsweek.
That's what we have had in your lifetime.
Well, like I said, we had Watergate, we had the hostage crisis during the Carter administration. I remember watching that. I mean, I thought that was a big deal. Maybe early on in the 60s, I barely remember Kennedy getting shot. I was 4 years old, so I remember I was homesick that day, and I remember laying in my parents' bed and watching that on TV.
Wow.
And the funeral, and I remember almost on my birthday when someone landed on the moon.
That was
So,
fabulous. That was
great.
really a happy fabulous.
Yeah.
So after what
Right.
we had, so did the heroes fuel your ambitions? Well, yeah, I guess.
I mean, in
the color,
1985.
the charm. I mean, there's a lot in the place here that's inviting.
Yeah, I kind of, keep it whimsical like
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
And in 1985, I started my own cable TV show called The Rick Turner Show, and that was on for 13 years. I won 4 Cable Ace Awards, which was
Well,
like an Emmy Award back
Did you
then.
the director of it?
I
or-
was the host. I took all of the elements of all the talk shows that I loved, like Mike Douglas, Merv Griffin, Johnny Carson was my number
And you
one.
ran this?
And I ran the show. I was the executive producer, and I was also the host. And as a matter of fact, downstairs I did over 300 shows. I have all the masters and the
Whoa.
dubs, and I'm
Wow.
digitizing them, moving them over because the tape is starting to disintegrate.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, you don't want to lose that.
some of the old tapes have to be actually baked because they have the sticky residue on them. So you got to stick them into a baking machine for 8 hours and then let them cool down. It's quite a process because
Yeah.
some of these tapes they're from '85.
Oh,
So,
fun. Now that isn't your regular work.
No. I'm kind of doing that.
You're doing that because you love it. Uh-huh.
Well, they're my old shows, and I don't want to lose them.
No, I meant the whole.
Well, yeah, I wanted to be in
Program that
TV.
you're
I wanted to, somehow
That's a
be in
great
TV,
thing to
and
say.
it
I
just
wanted
never
it and
happened.
I got it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but you got it the way.
Yeah. Well,
you-
some could say I'm in here on Main Street in Boonton, and I think that this is the greatest show on earth.
The town?
It's-
Well, it's certainly colorful.
It is.
Do you remember playing any games besides like hide
Yeah,
and seek?
we played. Like I said, we had
You're allowed
a
to
great
go out alone
bunch of.
without-
Oh yeah, we had a great neighborhood. I lived on North Street between Summit and Central Avenue. It was a very vibrant, like a Main Street you had back here. We had like shops like that, a women's shop and all kinds of butchers, and, Jupiters and Woolworths and all the stores. But
So
we
you
had.
picked a community with the same quality.
We had friends,
living here,
and
I
we
mean.
played plastic bat and rubber ball in the middle of the street every day. Every day.
Was there any special vacations you did with your family? I mean, did you go to Jersey Shore or something?
Never really did. I was never a
No.
shore guy, but what we did was we went to Cook's Lake, which is in Denville. It's
Oh.
still called Cook's something.
Cook's Pond is
Cook's
what
Pond
we
now it
always
is, but it was
called
Cook's Lake, and you paid $5 to get in, $5 per car, and this is in the early '60s, late '60s, and we'd pull up to the lake and we'd have a barbecue, and we'd be there with other family members, and we did that all the time. But of course, we'd take Route 46 out, and it seemed like it took forever. I'm like, you would have thought we were going to Wyoming, And little did I know I'd be living out here, But,
I'm laughing because they were people we interviewed who went to the Jersey Shore, and
Mhm.
that was 3 hours or more,
Yeah.
and then 9 people in the car.
Yeah.
So you really.
I was
you had
never a
lot
shore
more to
guy.
do.
I never
Yeah.
was. I really was.
So
But
that-
we also did like Whiteface Mountain. As a Cub Scout, I did. We went on submarines and we
very
went
nice.
to what else did we do?
You can thank Lloyd. He's been a scout leader for 50 years.
That's right. Troop number
So-
1, I hear.
I joined Troop 1 in 1939 as a Boy Scout,
39.
and then in 1952 I became Scoutmaster of Troop 2 for 15 years.
Wow.
What kind of music did you like?
Oh, I was always a 70s, 60s and 70s. As a matter of fact, I could pull up on my phone
Yeah.
the Monkees. And then I got to interview the Monkees on my show. So it was really great to interview later
Uh-huh.
a lot of folks that music I grew up with. Mannix from the TV show Joe.
Sure.
Mike Connors, got to meet him, and a lot of on my show I also did a reunion of the My Three Sons. Right? Had all the sons there.
Our kids love that. with
Oh
the
my God!
books.
We had the Addams Family. We did all whatever had
Right.
happened to kind of
Right.
guests. Joe Franklin. I mean, I had a lot of folks on the show.
I'm very impressed.
Hmm
I'm very impressed.
It's all true.
No, I mean, I kind of like someone with that kind of, I don't take no for an answer.
Hmm
That seems to me something I'm getting from this conversation.
I'll take no for an answer, but it involves a lot of cash.
and as you say, a boatload of work.
Right. That's exactly right.
That's right, okay. So I'm gonna ask you your favorite television. I don't need to do that. Did you ever listen to the radio?
Always. I mean, AM
It
radio.
was still,
I really.
it was still,
I wanted to be in
Well-
radio. That was originally I wanted to be on the radio, and I did do a year on a local radio station in '84 before I started the show.
Mhm.
And I would do it was overnights, and I did that, and that
Playing
was a lot of
music?
fun. Play music and
Uh-huh.
taking phone calls in between, and doing little bits and a lot of sound effects and
Okay.
fun stuff like that, like the original. Good old guys on AM, 66 or 77, I think that was. Mm-hmm.
Congratulations.
Dan Ingram and those
I love
guys.
hearing all this.
Mhm.
I'm just wondering, did you ever get stuck in some situation that was particularly funny to you?
Well-
Nobody else has to think it's funny, but
Now you're making me think. I loved the Flip Wilson show,
uh-huh.
and he did that Geraldine Jones.
I love Geraldine. Yeah.
So what do you think? I went down in the basement. We had an old cedar closet full of clothes. I pulled out this dress, this wonderful gold. I don't know what it was, and my mother's fall, and I took it to the school. I think I was in the 3rd grade, and 71 or 2, and I did Geraldine Jones. And I said, "Oh, I'm gonna get you, killer!" I mean, it was. I loved Flip Wilson and that show.
Yeah,
It was
yeah,
just so
yeah.
wonderful. He did it in the round, and his
Uh-huh.
characters. He was so talented.
He
From
was.
Jersey City,
Huh.
and so that was
So that's wow.
Mhm.
That is really
putting on
good.
dresses. And I was 3 years old. My father loved it.
Am I supposed to read into that?
Hmm
Did you remember any events in your town? Was there a blizzard? Was there a big fire somewhere?
Yeah, yeah. Of course, we had a blizzard. I remember once going to my aunt's house. She lived in Fairlawn. That was another trip. It felt like it took forever. But it was Easter. It snowed, and you could probably look it up. It must have been 68 or
Oh, wow.
whenever. It was a big snowstorm on Easter.
Yeah.
And driving home, I remember the car in front of us spun around, and we're all like this. Now, my father was a professional truck driver, so we knew
Okay.
he would be okay. But I remember that was scary.
Mine was 1947. Was yours that? 1947, a big snowstorm in Boonton?
Yeah, there was.
The water was kind of frozen.
The,
I think he has a picture
the
of it.
newspapers, the day after Christmas, the newspapers said they had 26 inches of snow in New York City.
Wow, that doesn't happen often.
Not too much. Now, in hindsight, and about your parents, what is it that you appreciate now that you didn't even think about when they were, I mean, your mother had to have incredible courage to get back up again.
Mm.
Is that something you admire now, that
Well,
you just took event?
Like I said, but my father was a truck driver, and back in the days, he was a teamster, and they weren't making a lot of money like they probably
Okay.
were now. Like they're better contracts. In fact, they were just negotiating a contract. So when he passed away, I think he kind of got screwed out of his pension. But we always had meat on the table. We always had good meals.
Mhm.
I would remark when I'd go over to a friend's house, and they owned a business, and this one owned this
Yeah.
one, and they all had good jobs. This one was a cop and doing well. And I would say, she'd say, "What did you eat?" I said, "Well, they pulled out a frozen dinner, and we had that." And my mother always cooked, always made, veal chops, or made
Mhm.
spaghetti sauce from scratch, or she made potato pancakes with this grating machine. My mother always cooked, and we always had a great meal. And if you wanted this and you wanted this, my mother would make it. We always ate very well, and we always had wonderful Christmases.
Oh,
We
nice.
always had whatever we wanted.
Wow.
I mean, not
But it had to be
extravagant.
difficult for her.
It was,
So
but
was
she
that something
always
you
made sure
appreciate?
we had what we wanted, and she looked for it until she found it. And she didn't drive, so she took a bus. She took a bus to the Avenue or to Two Guys Department Store back in the day.
Sounds like she'd be someone I'd like.
She is fantastic.
Did you enjoy school?
Loved school. I went to PS 27 and then to Dickinson High School, public schools. wonderful, wonderful schools. I loved every one of my teachers. I can remember every single one of them. They were wonderful teachers. One gave me a little problem, but
It was his fault.
we took it, her fault. We
Her
took care of
fault.
it. Well, she remembered me from another family member, and she
Oh.
thought she was going to have trouble with me, and I didn't think that was. I went home and told my mom. Said she thought that am I going to have trouble with you like I did? I mean, what a thing to say to like
Yeah,
a 5-year-old.
Yeah,
So,
I
but
had to get on my knees and pray that I could have a beautiful handwriting.
and I
And
did.
Well, I didn't. I was
Yeah.
left-handed, but I was thinking, you cuckoo or what?
Yeah.
How about school sports? How about the band?
Nope.
Any shows?
Nope. Oh, shows. Did all the shows.
Did you?
I did.
Why am I surprised?
I did all the shows, and I created all the sets. Like for Bye Bye Birdie, I was the star of Bye Bye Birdie, and
Oh,
I learned how to
really?
sing and dance from a woman who was actually a Rockette, and she had her own dance school in Jersey City, and so we did that show, and whatever happened, funny thing happened on the way to the forum. A lot of shows, a lot of shows.
Wow.
And to this day, I've remained friends with. There's a guy who's the #1 cameraman, and he's been there since '69, Frank Biondi, and the man who does Big Bird and Oscar the Grouch, who just retired last year at 85.
Yeah.
And
that was
he's been
exciting.
to my store twice to sign books, and I give you a picture of that to put into the show too, into the interview. But I just fell in love with them. As a matter of fact,
Here we go,
I
Lloyd.
have-
Are you
I
you
have,
okay over there?
I hope you're filming.
Because look at this.
I have. This is. You know who this is? This is Grover. And
The
Grover.
garbage guy. The guy.
No. I do not go into garbage cans. That is Oscar.
oh,
Yes.
oh, oh,
Yes.
oh.
Oscar's different.
Oh,
than
you're
you.
much more handsome.
Oh, you have a very small nose. Oh,
Hello.
hi, everybody.
Hello.
Everybody. Okay. All right. I have to say goodbye.
You
now.
know, good. I see you. Somebody else is
I
coming.
may be skinny, but I am wiry. And then who else do we
That's
have here?
fun. That's fun. Did you get to use it in some community?
Yeah, I've done. I
community
just
things,
did
or-
something over for Karen Corinda over at her church. We did a little thing, and then this is probably one of the most popular characters. And it's funny when Elmo first came, no one knew what to do with it,
Right.
and the puppeteers were like, "I don't know what to do," and he'd throw it to another guy and another guy. Then finally, Kevin Clash took Elmo and gave it the voice. And Elmo talked like this. That's right. And hello, oh hi, how are you? Hi, baby.
You gonna kiss me?
Baby. So really, the Muppets
funny.
have been just, and
Just
I got to
from
meet
something when you were
Jim
nine.
Henson, on the set, and I chat
Wow.
with him, and I wrote him a letter when I was 13. I wanted to be a Muppeteer, and he wrote me back and he said, "You're a little too young."
Oh,
All right, I'll show you that letter downstairs.
Oh,
You can
how
take a picture of
very
it.
nice.
It's been kind of my passion.
it's funny.
But it as a kid, it unleashed all this creativity.
been baptized 2 times. Does that mean you go to the top of the road, the top of heaven when you get there?
I'll let you know. 'Cause I'll be up there. I'll wink. I'll make a sign. We'll have a signal. I'll signal down to you.
Where were you brought up? You said somewhere in
Jersey City.
Jersey City. Was that a community,
Were
like
you-
an apartment building or private
no,
home?
it was a private home that I was born in one side of town in a cold water flat in '59, and then a year later, my mom and dad went into a house with my uncle downstairs.
Yeah,
It was a 2-family house, a wonderful, wonderful old house that politicians owned back in the day, and it was a speakeasy downstairs. So there was a full bar, a beautiful bar built in 1912. So this bar, in fact, I ripped it out when I had a carpenter come, so I have it in my home now.
neat.
Oh, the cherry wood is just beautiful. You couldn't even build this today. It's so beautiful. But yeah, so my uncle lived downstairs with my grandmother. So it was nice.
Nice
I got to
connection.
go downstairs and see my
Yeah,
grandma.
yeah,
It
when
was,
then nobody else
people who
wants
have
you
their
around.
grandparents today are very, very lucky. And you should call them and cherish them because
It
it's
is
a
gift.
wonderful thing.
It really is. Hi, it's December 9th, 2018. We're in Bobby's News and Gifts, and here is the star of the show. Bobby, what's your last name?
Telek.
Telek,
It's a good old
T-E-L-L.
Irish-Scottish
Okay.
name, but
And according to my recollection, in about 2011, this is
Yeah.
when you signed.
That's
is when you
when
started.
I
your-
moved here. I actually started this week is my 9th year. I just celebrated 9 years on Main Street. So I started down the street next to the post office in 2009, and I moved up here almost 4 years ago.
Okay, we're gonna put the pictures in later, you know,
Okay.
with this. So that would be the building 100 years ago, I guess?
That
And that
was.
was yours?
Yep, that's right. I guess everybody wants to open up a store because they say, I'm tired of working hard for someone else. I think I'll open up my own business. Little do they know, that this is the hardest thing you'll ever do. As a matter of fact, when the folks at Hudson News helped me with this, the owner who I was a limousine driver as a kid for the family that owned Hudson News. And he said to me, you know, Bobby, this is really very difficult. And I said, yeah. He goes, no, it's very difficult. And he was absolutely right.
And just as soon as you're nicely established, the owner wanted the property back.
Yeah, kind of, sort of.
Kinda, sorta, yeah.
That's another whole.
Okay.
That's another
This-
interview.
Is this a comedy?
Yeah, it was another.
The way we met Bob is that we had self-published some books, and he kindly had book signings for us.
Mhm.
And this would have been in the building that is the
That's
first
right.
one.
And I sold hundreds of those books.
Oh, how good. Yeah. And also, Bob, your work as an alderman in the town,
Work is right.
or? Is it alderman?
It's alderman. Yeah.
Okay, so here you are at the.
Elected, not.
Elected.
I'm elected. It's funny. I owned a home. We just sold it up in Provincetown, in Massachusetts, and up there they're called selectmen.
Oh.
So they wear powdered wigs and
No way.
like the old days.
The one you sold it.
Mhm.
So this is you working as an alderman, and I think it's Memorial Day.
And I just got
and,
elected again for 2
okay.
more years.
Congratulations.
Because I'm nuts.
Yeah, right,
Just got
right,
elected
right.
again.
This
but
is
I
this is
enjoy
you
it.
riding in the parade. I thought that
Mhm.
was fun. I just wanted to show that he's very much a part of Boonton, involved, and a fixture of the town. I
Mhm.
mean, everybody.
Even though I've only been here 12 years, and to folks, they're like, that's nothing. Even in dog years, that's not enough for some people. They're like, please, you know, I've lived here for 150 years.
You're talking about my husband. He's only 91.
Was I
though.
doing his voice?
Just about.